Hi, welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. We're still in the studio, making some changes in the studio, but not only working on the studio today. I'm going to do something to the therapy quilt, which is this week the unicorn quilt. I'm going to do something to that is probably going to give all of us hives. So stick around till the end. You see this blank wall over here? The one adjacent to where the pegboard is? It's about to get a makeover. I have had, I'll show you on picture in picture, but I've had this 4x4 design board stuck behind the other one that you guys have seen a gazillion times. And I just layered them up so that I could store it, right? Well, it was getting very crowded in here, and my design boards were getting pretty crowded. I needed to access this one. And I do want to have art on this wall, some quilted, pieced and quilted art on this wall. But until then, until I get to that point, I'm going to use it for another design board. Now, I won't have as easy access to it because it's going to be a little bit higher. And I do have a cabinet here in front of it, but I'll still be able to access it. And especially for photo shoots, and it would just give us a little bit of relief when we're working on something on this other design board. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to Walmart also to get more of these baskets and more hooks so I can make this completely functional. I have vacuumed in here today and been folding some fabrics. I got the Mars quilt out of here and in the living room in front of my fireplace. It works out fine there. And while it's there, I can't use my recliner, so that's going to help me to make sure I get to it. But I don't use my recliner anymore now that I'm doing these videos. I'm spending my evenings on the computer creating the videos for you guys. That's just what it takes. But hopefully I jest because I do enjoy a little bit of downtime in that recliner. It's a very comfortable one. It was gifted to me from the estate of a friend who had it because she could not get up and down out of a chair on her own. And so it's a operated one, not mechanically, what would you say? It's power operated, so it will lean you back and stand you up, which was great when I was recovering from surgery and had my cord issues. So I'm glad to be out of the chair. I'm really glad to be out of the chair, but there's nothing like a little bit of peace. So every time I look at that Mars quilt, I'm going to be saying, you got to get done or I won't be able to get back in my chair. The Mars quilt is just wide. It's just too wide for just one of my tall design boards. So I got to have them side by side. So I won't always have that problem when I'm working on a longer quilt, just anything that's well over 48 inches wide and anything over anything over 8 feet, because one of those design boards is 4x8. No, take that back, it's 6. It's a 4x6 design board because I had to take off 2 feet for it to fit upstairs where I was keeping it before. So what else have I done? I vacuumed, I've folded fabric, I'm sorting things. I am going to be using, let's see if I can find it. I'm going to be using these, which are just, I think it's Hillshire Farms lunch meat containers to hold my scraps in. Like when I have cutoffs of half square triangles or smaller scraps, they're going to be organized in here based off of not color, but based off of how they were used. Like if I'm working on a project, all of the cutoffs from that project will go in one of these. It's kind of how my brain sorts. Like I kind of know the color and the feel of the fabrics based off of how they were used and how they're curated together versus having them all blues or all 2.5 inch squares or anything like that. It just makes more sense for me right now anyway. But as we all know, I'm a newbie. So, these are kind of free. Yes, I buy the lunch meat, but I'm having to buy that for my dog to take her medicine. And I just put her medicine inside of a little piece of low sodium ham, and she gives me no problem whatsoever in taking her medicine. So I've got a few of these, and I'll be getting as many as I need as long as she's alive, which I hope is a good long while yet. She's a sweet girl. So that's where I am right now. I'm gonna run off to Walmart. We had a good storm come through, and yes, I see a limb down actually. We had a good storm come through, and I waited for that to pass so I can go to Walmart and get more hangers and more of these baskets. I think before I go, though, I'm going to get this design board up here. I'll take a picture and show it to you. I've put some, what do you call these? Bull something clips. I forget what they're called. But I put one on either side, and then I've hooked some wire. I don't know. It's not very strong wire, so if it were to break at some point, I won't be surprised. But this is light, and what I'm putting on it isn't going to be heavy, so it should be quite fine. Pretty soon here, I'm going to be as functional as I can be until I can change out my ironing station. So I want to just encourage you guys, man, it feels so good. I was so energized this morning when I woke up with the commitment that I was going to get the Mars quilt out so I could open up these bifold doors so I can see the outside from here. Now I can't see the lake from there. I can see the lake out here, but I get sunshine coming in from the living room into here now, and I can walk that way. Once I started doing videos in here, I started adding a tripod for the camera, and I started adding lights with 3 legs too. My space got small, and then I closed off part of it with a Mars quilt, and then any available space on the floor, there was a dog in it. And then there's also tubs of projects on the floor. And so I'm trying to get everything up off the floor. That's another thing I've done. I'll show you a picture of that. Underneath this table, I thought, well, how can I create a flat surface so I can put some of my containers on that? So it occurred to me this morning, I went to bed with that thought, like, how can I make that happen? And then this morning I woke up and I thought, Dawn, you've got some terracotta pots out in the garage that you're not using. Why don't you see if they'll fit? And what do you know? They're the exact same height as that little 4-inch shelf that's underneath this table. So I put those down and then I went back out to the garage to see if I had any plywood, and I did. I had a piece that was exactly the size to fit in here. It's a God thing, if you ask me. I'll take it as a blessing. I take it as his approval. So I now have this shelf, and I can put some of my containers there. So when I get back from Walmart and have some lunch, I will be able to get this organized and I'm gonna get this on the wall first before I go. While I'm still energetic, I want to do any of my ladder work. And then I can organize fabrics and get to working on the unicorn quilt and show you what my thoughts are there. I'm telling you, you just might need to go get some calamine lotion because it's going to give you hives. It did me. Not too bad. Not too bad. I've been preparing myself. Let's just say that. So I'll let the video roll so you can see this getting put up. But at the end, stay tuned, and I'll show you any other pictures of what's going on in here before I get to the unicorn quilt. So stay tuned. We'll see you in just a minute. Well, this is it. I decided not to walk you through all the step-by-steps because it was just too tedious. I went to Walmart, which took me a lot longer than it should have because they have the entire store turned upside down, like they're changing departments and everything. It was a little disorienting to being in there, but I got what I needed and I got everything put up on the pegboard. You can see I've added the additional the rattan baskets, and those are actually metal. It's not a wood product like you might think they are. Now the dark brown on top is, but it's also not going to hold anything heavy, and it's where it's being supported has a metal rod through it. So all my embroidery work is on the left-hand side, starting with my hoop stand and all the white baskets all the way up. And then the red piece is something that my daughter made while she was in college. She went to an art school, and I just love that it represents textile arts, and it's a heart. That's what I really like about it, and my daughter made it. So let me pan you over so you can see the addition of, see if you'll pan. Yep, I'll get you a straight on picture too. So that board is up. That's going to be great to have. And if you can see down underneath, and I'll pan you down there, hang on. See, I've got boxes underneath there. Everything is in a box and contained. Nothing is floating around. I have made some progress. Let me show you over here. You can actually see the cutting surface now. Get some things out of your way. So this is kind of like the business end over here, and that's where I actually end up doing my cutting. And you can probably see, yep, you can see that the Mars quilt is gone, and I have my doors open. The living room is dark right now, so I'll have to show you the Mars quilt tomorrow. Get this out of the way so it's not blinding you. But in tomorrow's video, I will show that to you. I was gonna kind of like do a proper tour for you, but I think I'll wait till daylight, and then I can show you the Mars quilt, and I'll probably do that for you tomorrow. At the very beginning of this video, I promised you that I would do something to the unicorn quilt that might make you break out in hives. So let's talk about the unicorn quilt. What I realized about the unicorn quilt when I started thinking about how I was going to put a unicorn on top of it was that it's not to scale. If this is supposed to be the entirety of the quilt at this size, which is perfect for a little a stuffed unicorn, maybe a little bit bigger, put a little bit of white border on it, and then a little bit of binding so it grows maybe an inch all the way around. It's still out of scale. So what I'm gonna do, hang on, I'll show you. So yeah, I'm gonna cut everything down. I'm gonna cut everything down, which means the whole quilt's gonna shrink, right? I'm gonna cut it in half and then resew everything so that we have, instead of 2-inch blocks, we will end up, I guess, with, I haven't done the math, but 1-inch blocks are probably, I haven't done the math. I just know that I'm going to cut it in half and then resew it all back together. I'm going to cut every row in half and every column in half and then put it back together. So here you go. You got a quilt that's put together and you start cutting on it. Does that not give you hives? What? What the what? Look at that. All right. See, that'll get a 1/4 inch off of each side. That'll be little bitty. That too. All righty. Now, move it over to do one of the internal squares. It's 2 inches, so all I got to do is measure over 1 inch. So if I cut it here, and I take a 1/4 inch away with a seam, right? That's going to leave me with a block that is 3/4 inch square, because I'm going to cut it vertical and horizontal on all of them, everywhere, and then sew it all back together. I'm going to leave this one out in a special place because I know it's a little bit bigger. And then whenever I get this edge freed up, I'm going to mark it as well because it's going to be a little bit different size. Because it was on the edge already. It was not a 2-inch block, 2-inch unit. If time allows, tomorrow I'll finish cutting that and try to show you guys in the video for tomorrow the how it looks when you start piecing it back together. I'm going to be anxious to see that happen. There's a lot of things I want to happen before tomorrow's video. I want to show you the Mars quilt. I want to do a proper pan of this room in the daylight so you can see the things I've done. I hope my emphasis on the studio this week has inspired you guys to do a little bit of spring cleaning in your studio space too, wherever you're doing your stitching. You know, you need that organization. Even if you're having to be spread out throughout the house, you've got stuff under your bed, in the back of this closet, whatever you do to make it happen. Just review all of your space, all of your organizational tactics and what that infrastructure is. Maybe some of it has fallen apart. The infrastructure has fallen apart. You need to shore it back up. Maybe you need to create new infrastructure like I'm having to do because I'm brand spanking new at this. You know, when I started a year ago, the entirety of my quilting space was that little table in the middle of my living room because I had loose screws in my neck and an infection in my neck and allergic reaction to the hardware in my neck. And I still had a tethered cord, spinal cord. I was pretty miserable, but I could sit there and get myself to that table and watch the ocean, not the ocean, I don't live at the ocean, the lake, watch the lake and quilt. And so I've grown and matured from that to this space, and that's fantastic. So now this space has to evolve so that it can support me making videos and 6 different projects per week. It's different when you're just making one project and you do it to completion, then you start another one. It's much easier to stay on top of your organizational efforts, that infrastructure of your organization that needs to operate completely different. And you need to keep a tight chip on it or it will get on top of you. You know, it will just kind of take over, which is what was happening. And it was just unbearable. So it was time to do it. So with that, my friends, I'm going to say good day. I really appreciate you being here and being on this journey with me, supporting me as I've gone through this infrastructure reorganization of my studio space. And instead of showing you all the pretty things and what I've accomplished that's stitchy oriented, all you're seeing is me doing like DIY projects. But we're putting that kind of thing to bed. We'll be getting back to our stitchy projects, our quilty projects here really soon. Tomorrow's our recap video with our content about which of our quilty friends have inspired us. And right now, what I'm being inspired by all over social media is QuiltCon. There's some beautiful quilts, some inspiring quilts. I wish I was there. I wish I was there. I'll have to go next year. Hopefully I can. But this year I decided to invest myself into starting this channel. And I do not regret that whatsoever. You guys are the best. You're leaving comments, you're subscribing. That means everything to me. I really do appreciate it. You're giving me some of your quality time, and I appreciate that so very much. You have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. It's just too dark in there, and I need a ladder to be able to put it together properly because it's up on the hearth. So I'll show you guys what it looks like tomorrow.